Hello, hello. I am now live. Hope everyone's okay. Hope it's not too echoey. I am still down at the gym. So I've just come off the phone with a client, so I thought I may as well stay down here and do it instead of having the crazy dog all over me like I do normally. So if you are watching or you are live with me at the moment, throw me some love hearts, throw me kind of a hashtag live. If you're watching this on a replay, then just comment below and put hashtag replay, just so I kind of know if anyone's there, if I'm talking to myself, which is absolutely fine. I am streaming off my phone, so I'm hoping the internet isn't too bad for people. I can see we've got a couple of people on. I can't see any comments or anything yet though. Oh, hi Hayley. Hello, hello. So, hi Lou. Hi guys. So, basically I wanted to do, hi Kathy, all the way off holiday. I'm impressed. So like I say, I just wanted to do a bit of a live tonight about food guilt. So especially with it coming up to the Christmas season, I know a lot of people are going to get like this feeling of guilt for eating food, and I want to kind of explain why people get that and ways that we can kind of overcome it. So what I'm going to do is kind of talk through everything, and then obviously if anyone's got any questions afterwards, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. But it'll be easier for me to go through everything first, explain everything, and then obviously if anyone's got anything to ask afterwards, then that's absolutely fine. So food guilt is really common that we see in clients. So it's basically people, struggling on the journey to kind of develop a balanced relationship with food. So this feeling of guilt kind of comes from a long time of dieting normally. And I bet you've experienced it before, so it's really common, especially if you've been dieting on and off for years, like I say. So research shows that about a third of the population in Britain, when you eat, it makes them feel guilty. So internally, feeling guilt is often seen as something productive. So we beat ourselves up and tell ourselves to do better for our own sake, and when in reality, the guilt that we feel only does any harm. So over time, food guilt can lead to disordered eating habits, which are damaging to both your physical and mental health. So it ultimately takes away your full experience of life and fully enjoying and appreciating your food and the many roles it has. So because food guilt is so common, it's important to understand why it happens and how to overcome it. So learning why food guilt doesn't serve you and the first steps you can take to begin to overcome these feelings of guilt around food. So why there is no need to feel food guilt. Easy for me to say. I'll get my teeth back in. So it's important to understand on a logical level that there's no true need to feel guilt or shame about any of your food choices. So it doesn't serve you to feel any guilt. So a well-balanced diet includes all types of food. So food is for nourishment as well as enjoyment. So it also honours the many roles that food plays in our life. So obviously it nourishes our bodies on a cellular level, but obviously tradition and culture, we have kind of food things that we enjoy. We go out for food. I love my food. I think that's pretty obvious. And this feeling of guilt afterwards is what people struggle with. So, but we eat to thrive, not just survive. So not only is food guilt not productive for creating balanced eating habits, it can also be really damaging to your physical and mental health. So a study was conducted where people were asked if they associated chocolate cake more with guilt or celebration. So the results of the study showed that the individuals who said that the chocolate cake was associated with guilt were no healthier or more motivated than those who associated it with celebration. So in fact, they felt less in control around food and said they were more likely to overeat. So have you kind of ever felt that way around food items that you associate with guilt or shame? So have you got certain items that you feel like you can't eat without feeling guilty? So comment in the section below and let me know, what your no-go food is for you, what you feel like you can't control yourself around or you feel guilty afterwards. So comment below and let me know what it is that you feel guilty around. I'll just see if there is any comments coming in. I know some people say that they can't eat. I had a client actually once, this would have completely appealed to her. She wouldn't eat cheese. So I made her eat cheese every day to prove that it wasn't going to be an issue on her diet. So it's things like that where people are just like, I can't eat that. So food guilt perpetuates kind of a start and stop cycle. So this mentality leads to the start and stop cycle. So the shame and guilt intensify after overeating. So you try to be more rigid and restrictive to make up for being bad, which I hate, that's another thing. You're then left feeling completely out of control around food because you've become hyper aware that you can't have it. So the end result is that you overindulge and then the cycle continues. So maybe instead of feeling out of control, you simply try to rationalise with yourself. So I haven't had any cheese all week, so I'm not going to have it again. So I might as well just have all of it now. Do you see what I mean? So you kind of go, oh, well, I haven't had any all week, and so I'm just going to eat it all now so it's out of the way. I know a load of people do that. I'm just going to eat them all so that they're out of the house. Well, that isn't the way to do it. So obviously the cycle repeats itself. So have you ever been in them scenarios before where I know so many people come to me and they'll go, it's all right, I've eaten all the rubbish out of the house. What? So you've just binged on all the chocolates in your house? And that'll be another big thing coming up in Christmas. It's all right because I've eaten all the chocolates just to get them out of the house. I didn't have any for ages, so I ate them all. So if that's something that resonates with you, again, drop me a little bit of a comment while you're watching this and then I can read them afterwards. So whenever you're kind of in this start and stop cycle, you're not able to form consistent, balanced eating habits that support your long-term health. So over time, this can lead to more serious physical and mental health conditions. And this guilt and shame lead to feeling of helplessness and lack of control, which can encourage poor self-esteem and low mood. So that's why it's important for you to put some of your time and energy into overcoming food guilt. So how do you stop it? So it's important to note that overcoming food guilt is a journey and it will take time, but it is absolutely possible to accomplish. But obviously just be kind to yourself when you do anything like this with changing your eating habits. So you can get started by following a few steps to kind of remove the guilt and calling it out when it happens over time. So you'll get a piece of kind of ease and peace with your food choices. That's where we want to be. So bring awareness to when and why you're experiencing food guilt. So the first step is all about bringing awareness to the situation. So there are usually two common causes of guilt as a result of eating certain foods. So you may have a mindless choice and didn't realise it until after the fact. So first, feelings of guilt can happen if you make a food choice that's not in alignment with what you truly want or need. So this usually happens when external factors influence our food choices without us even realising it. So emotions such as stress, boredom or environment, which I know a lot of people are struggling with their environment, people are bringing food into work, eating while distracted, they're all common factors. So you may also experience this if you make an in-the-moment decision that you didn't truly want to make. So this type of guilt tends to have less to do with the food itself, but more to do with you not taking like a specific action. So you may have food rules. So this is a big one. I think everyone's going to resonate with this one. So the second cause of food guilt we see is feeling guilty after eating foods that are internally labelled as bad or off limits or a sin. Just putting it out there. This can happen even when you consciously choose to eat something because you truly enjoy it. So the sense of shame kind of creeps in anyway, because we've trained ourselves to think that some foods are right and some are wrong or good or bad. So like when people say to me, oh, I know I shouldn't have had that, it's bad. No, it's not, it's just food. That's what we need to get out of the habit of. So compassionately reflect to inflict change. So in either case, you can use a reflective journal to bring awareness. So I brought this up a couple of times in some of my previous recordings. So what's causing your food guilt and when are you experiencing it? So you can find a sample food journal prompt, kind of just write it down in a diary. I mean, some people kind of like making a big thing about making a certain journal with it, so that might be a nice thing for you to do, but kind of use a reflective journal to focus on kind of not calories or listing it as good or bad. I don't want you to put down, oh, it was so many calories. I don't want you to think about anything like that. The focus is on uncovering more about what you felt before, during and after eating, so that way you can notice where and when those feelings of guilt arise. So these insights about yourself can really help you learn how to best support yourself. When your focus is solely on feeling guilty, you never get the chance to engage in this self-discovery, so you end up continuing to go through this cycle of guilt. So letting go of the food rules, this will be a big one. It is hard to do and it will take time, but it is something that's needed. So think about what would happen when you were a kid and your parent or teacher told that you weren't allowed to do something. So how would you react? I know how I would have reacted. So I'm willing to bet that you wanted to do exactly what they said not to do, and wanted to do it kind of so much more. So this is the exact same series of events that occur with food rules. So it's simply human nature to do it. So when we tell ourselves that we can't have a food item, or it's bad for us, or we're not allowed to have it, we're inadvertently putting the food item on a pedestal. So a pedestal that makes us kind of idealise the food item and want it so much more than if we'd have just allowed ourselves to have it in the first place. I think sometimes this can come as well from when like parents said, oh, you can have chocolate as a treat and things like that. So I feel like sometimes because you're having it as a treat that you shouldn't be having it all the time. So I think sometimes that can be brought down from parents as well. So once we do have the food item, it's because we finally allow ourselves, reward ourselves, and it's simply placed in front of us and we no longer have kind of self-control. We're much more likely to overindulge and subsequently experience the extreme sense of guilt we're looking to avoid. So when we remove these food rules altogether, we take the food item off the pedestal and the food item no longer has power over us. So we no longer feel out of control around it, and therefore the guilt cycle stops. So if you let go of the food rules, the guilt would go with it, effectively. So like I say, I know it's going to take some time to do that, but it is kind of a necessary step, really. So slowing down before meals. So again, this is another thing that I've mentioned before in kind of my emotional eating video and things like that, but practice slowing down before your meals. So sometimes food guilt can stem from mindless eating. You know, I think Kai said it on a video the other day that she was eating Quality Street and before she'd known it, she'd had 5 of them and didn't even really enjoy it. So this is how it kind of just happens when you're distracted by something in your environment, or the situation you're in triggered you to eat when you weren't really truly hungry. So taking a moment to pause before eating and checking in with yourself is such a powerful tool. So you'll be able to see what your body actually really wants and needs, and that way you can kind of become more aware of the external sources that are influencing your food choices. So when you're taking this pause, ask yourself why you're eating. So is it boredom, stress, situational, or are you experiencing physical hunger? So are you eating out of intention and mindfulness, or is it unintentional and mindless? So then ask yourself if what you are choosing to eat is something that you truly want, or if you want it because of external factors. So again, this is like when people are bringing stuff into work. If your food guilt stems even from eating specific foods, then this pause can allow you to kind of give yourself full permission to intentionally choose and enjoy that food. So that's another really good one. So kind of granting yourself permission to reduce the food guilt. So create an experience around food that allows you to fully enjoy and appreciate what you're eating. For example, let's say you've decided to have some pudding. So ideally you'd sit at the table with minimal distractions. And I know that's not always possible, but it is ideal. And you kind of slowly eat and taste each bite. We did this on a course once, and she made us just have one piece of chocolate and really think about how the chocolate tastes and what we like about the taste of it, and you know, whether it's really serving us and whether we're actually getting the enjoyment out of the food. So allowing yourself that joy and pleasure from food, and it's kind of food for the soul almost. It's kind of even if it's a nutritional dense meal, it brings so much more positivity to your experience. So then you'll be able to feel more satisfied and move forward rather than to succumb into the feeling of guilt. So practice compassionate curiosity. So the older we get, the more we learn things that don't always go to plan. I think that's pretty safe to say. So it's inevitable for things to take a sharp left turn without our intention every once in a while. So when this does happen, practicing compassionate curiosity will allow us to break the guilt cycle. So instead of negative self-talk, when you find yourself in a situation where things could have gone one way but it went another, kind of pause and reflect and ask yourself without judgment, why did it happen? Was it in my control? And if possible, how might I do things differently next time to prevent the same situation from happening again? So by reflecting with compassion and curiosity, you're able to look ahead into the future to plan for success rather than dwelling on the past. So these are kind of a few little steps to take to overcome food guilt, and by practicing these and other mindful eating practices, you'll start to experience more freedom and peace with your food choices over the time. So as you get started with these steps, don't forget to be patient with yourself. It's normal for them feelings of kind of guilt or shame to come back every so often. So this is especially true when working to remove food rules. It's really difficult because I know it's kind of been drilled into us from previous slimming clubs and things like that, that food's bad or good and things like that. So it does take a lot of compassion, patience, practice, and support, which is what I'm here for. And it kind of helps you reframe your mindset around your relationship with food. So be kind to yourself. Bread and cheese, Hayley, yes. So it is, you know, a lot of people think, oh, I can't have bread. Bread's a massive one. Can't have bread, bread's bad for you. No, it's not. Bread isn't bad for you unless it creates some sort of allergic reaction, if you've got IBS or, you know, if there's something, or wheat intolerance or something like that. Bread is not a bad food. You know, cheese, yeah, it's high in fat, but God, you know, have cheese every day if you wanted to. Like I say, I made my clients have cheese and Prosecco every day within her calories to prove that the food wasn't bad. And it wasn't going to, and you know, it wasn't going to derail her progress. And that was a big thing for her to do. And she panicked all week because she thought that just having a bit of cheese and Prosecco every night, which I mean is ideal for most people, but she still lost weight that week. And this is what we need to kind of get out of our heads. So, Amy, if I'm in a good place, being swimming and things at home are good, I don't feel the need to cheat. If I feel low, upset, I choose all the sweet chocolate things. Yeah, so that was again kind of covered in my emotional eating video that I did. So, you know, you do feel like sometimes if you're in a really good routine, then you don't really feel the need to cheat. But again, cheat is a negative word. It's not cheating, you're just allowing yourself some chocolate things. So it's this removal of food labels that we've got and how we feel around them that kind of make the difference. So, you know, it's like when people say you're having a cheat meal. You're not having a cheat meal, you're just having a meal that might not be on plan, but that's absolutely fine. It's not a cheat. You're not cheating anything by doing it, or it's not a bad food, or you're not like having, like I say, a treat is another really big thing. Like, you know, when people say, well, I'm going to have a treat tonight. Well, yeah, sometimes you might see it as a bit of a treat, but at the same time, you're like putting that food on that pedestal that I spoke about. So, you know, if you are feeling kind of low or upset, then you do kind of crave sometimes a bit of chocolate and things like that. And again, you know, like I've mentioned before, it's finding something else to replace the food with. So, you know, like if you're feeling upset, is there something else that you can do to bring you out of feeling low that isn't the chocolate, that's then going to make you feel rubbish for eating the chocolate, so you go on to a big cycle, if that makes sense. So if anyone's got any questions and you're still with me, then by all means throw them in the comments below. I think we've still got a few people watching, which is really good. I hope the internet quality has been good, because like I say, I'm just streaming off my phone at the moment. But yeah, like I say, the food labels thing is a massive thing with people. And I think that's something that we all need to work on, you know, because sometimes, you know, I catch myself saying it sometimes. You know, or feel a bit naughty for having that. Well, you're not naughty. There's nothing naughty about having the food, if that makes sense. So And people come in and go, oh, no, I shouldn't have. Well, why shouldn't have you? You know what I mean? If you plan it around your daily intake, then there should be no reason why you can't involve that food all the time into your diet. Again, it's learning how to adapt and use your calories, the most beneficial way. So if there's no other questions or anything else, then I am going to shoot off. I am going to go get myself a hot chocolate because I want to. So I hope everyone's enjoyed that. If you're watching this, like I say, on the replay, then shove me a comment below. If anyone's got any other questions, then by all means drop me a message or drop a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But like I say, hopefully that's all made sense to people and it's kind of helped why you're feeling guilty and what we can do to stop them feelings of guilt. So have a fabulous Monday or whatever day it is that you're watching this in the future. And like I say, if you need anything, drop me a message. Speak soon.